the day the chase stops feeling like winning. There's a moment in a man's life when chasing women stops feeling like a rush and starts feeling like a hangover that never really goes away. If you're somewhere past 40 and you notice you don't have the same hunger for the game, it can be confusing. You remember the version of you who lived for the thrill, the attention, the next message, the next body. Now, the idea of starting from zero with another stranger on an app doesn't excite you. It almost makes your chest feel heavy. Most men think this means they've lost it, that they're getting old, boring, or broken. In reality, something much deeper is happening. Your nervous system, your priorities, your sense of risk, and your identity as a man are all quietly rewiring themselves. In this video, we're going to walk through the real psychology behind why men over 40 stop chasing. Not the memes, not the cliches, but the internal shift you can feel even if you can't yet name it. By the end, you'll see why this change is not a failure in love, but a different level of it. This is PsycheLure. We map the unseen patterns behind who you desire, who drains you, and who you finally stop running after. Section 1. The exhaustion you can't pretend away. There's a kind of tiredness that sleep doesn't fix. It shows up when you open a dating app and feel your energy drop before you even start scrolling. You're not afraid to talk to women. You're not out of the game. You're just numb to it. The small talk, the performance, the same 3 questions over and over, it all feels like reruns of a show you've already watched too many times. In your 20s and early 30s, the chase was fuel. Every match was a little dopamine hit. Every reply meant, I still have it. Your ego was wired to treat attention as oxygen. Biology, culture, and your need to prove yourself all pushed in the same direction. Go hunt, go prove, go win. But somewhere along the way, you started seeing the pattern behind the faces. You've lived through the hot and cold texting, the late replies that keep you on the hook, the I'm not ready for anything serious that somehow still demands your time and emotional labor. You've seen how easy it is for people to swipe away from discomfort instead of working through it. You've been breadcrumbed, ghosted, put on hold, and you can predict the script before the first plot twist. At first, you might think, maybe I'm just jaded. But what's really happening is more precise. Your nervous system has learned. The thrill response that used to fire when you saw a notification now fires when you cancel plans that would drain you. Your brain has slowly relabeled a lot of opportunities as high effort, low return. And here's the part most men never say out loud. Modern dating, especially for a man who actually has a life, can feel like a second unpaid job. You're managing conversations, reading between the lines, trying to sense who's genuine and who's just bored, all on top of work, responsibilities, and the weight of everything you've already been through. There's only so much cognitive and emotional bandwidth a human being has. After a certain age, every new connection isn't just fun, it's administration, logistics, feelings, expectations, possible fallout. So when a man over 40 stops chasing, it's rarely because he can't compete anymore. It's usually because he finally did the math. The same patterns that once excited him now register as noise. The energy he used to spend impressing people has to come from somewhere else in his life. And that's where the shift begins, when the cost of the chase starts to feel heavier than the loneliness it was meant to fix. In the next part, we'll look at what quietly takes the chase's place, and why, past a certain point, peace of mind becomes more attractive than any rush you can get from being wanted. Section 2. When peace becomes more attractive than passion. There's a reason drama used to feel like chemistry to you. For years, your body was trained to confuse adrenaline with attraction. Think about the relationships, or almost relationships, that left you wired and exhausted at the same time. One minute it was intense connection, the next it was silence. You found yourself checking your phone, replaying conversations, trying to decode a tone in a text. That roller coaster burned a groove into your nervous system. When you're younger, you tell yourself, this must be what passion feels like. Your friends hype it up, movies glorify it, and your ego secretly enjoys the challenge. On some level, you liked proving to yourself that you could win over chaos, that you could handle the unpredictable woman that no one else could. But after enough cycles, something in you stops calling that excitement and starts calling it what it really is: instability. Meanwhile, quietly, another part of your life has been growing. Maybe it's the way your home feels when it's clean, calm, and under your control. Maybe it's the mornings you wake up without alarms from other people's crises. Maybe it's that small ritual, coffee, gym, a walk, your work, that makes your nervous system exhale. Little by little, those moments start to feel better than any high a chaotic connection can give you. This is when peace becomes more attractive than passion. Your definition of good changes. You don't want your heart rate spiking every weekend. You want to be able to think clearly. You want a woman whose presence lets your shoulders drop, not one who keeps your jaw clenched. So when she brings constant conflict, tests, jealousy games, or unresolved trauma into your space, you don't experience it as mysterious anymore. You experience it as a direct threat to your mental health, your focus, and your future. At that point, not chasing isn't coldness, it's self-protection. And once your system has tasted that level of calm, going back to turbulence doesn't feel romantic. It feels like self-betrayal. Section 3. From conquest to conscious partnership. There was a time when winning meant numbers. How fast you could turn a match into a date. How quickly you could turn a date into a night. How many people wanted you, even if you didn't really want them. In that phase, conquest feeds the ego. It tells a young man, you're valuable because you can get attention. The relationship itself is almost secondary. What matters is the story. I pulled her. I proved I could. You're not just chasing women, you're chasing proof. Then life adds weight. You build a career. You carry real responsibilities. Maybe you've gone through a serious relationship, a breakup, co-parenting, even a divorce. You've seen how two people's lives actually have to mesh. Schedules, families, money, health, stress. At that level, conquest loses its shine really fast. Slowly, your metric of success changes. Instead of asking, can I get her? You start asking, can we actually live? Can we solve problems without destroying each other? Can we sit in silence without it feeling like rejection? Can she regulate herself when she's triggered, or does she expect me to be her emotional parent? This is the shift from conquest to conscious partnership. It's not that attraction disappears, it's that attraction alone is no longer enough. The woman who would have fascinated you at 25, all chaos, no consistency, now sets off alarms. You're not impressed by how hard she is to get. You're noticing how hard she would be to live with. A partner in this stage is less about fireworks and more about fit. Shared values, similar pace of life, compatible nervous systems. You're looking for someone who can move with you through real life, not just someone who can light up a weekend. And once your definition of winning becomes building a stable, meaningful life, chasing anyone who clearly can't join you in that becomes, obviously, self-sabotaging. Section 4. You learn to live without needing anyone. Here's another quiet shift that explains why you don't chase like you used to. You learned how to have a life without a relationship holding it together. In your earlier years, being single often felt like a problem you needed to solve. Friday nights alone could feel like failure. You might have stayed in situations that weren't good for you just to avoid the feeling of being unchosen. So you tolerated more chaos, more disrespect, more emotional crumbs, because the alternative, at that time, was facing your own emptiness. But over the years, something else started to grow. Maybe you poured yourself into your work and actually became good at what you do. Maybe you built solid friendships that don't disappear the moment someone starts dating. Maybe you found passions that have nothing to do with impressing anyone. Training, building, creating, learning. At some point, your life stopped being a waiting room. Your days filled with things that matter to you. Your home started to reflect you, your choices, your rhythm, your standards. You discovered that a quiet evening you actually enjoy can feel better than a loud night that leaves you feeling hollow. That changes the entire equation. You're no longer chasing because you're starving. You're no longer dating from a place of, please complete my life. You're standing in a life that already has structure and meaning, asking a different question. Does letting you in actually make this better? For many men over 40, the honest answer is often no. Not because women are the problem, but because a lot of people haven't done the work you've done. They still need someone else to regulate their emotions, fix their boredom, carry their chaos.
And when you've spent years learning to hold your own life together, you become very careful about handing the keys to someone who hasn't done the same. So you stop running after anyone who looks interesting. You wait. You watch. You stay with your own company until it's clear that letting someone in would deepen your life, not dilute it. In other words, you're not scared of being alone anymore. You're scared of abandoning yourself again. Section 5. You're an investor now, not a gambler. If any of this has been hitting closer than you expected, you're not the only one. If you feel it, you can drop a comment with the part that lands the hardest. It helps more men realize they're not going crazy, they're just changing. By the time a man passes 40, he's usually carrying more than feelings. There are assets now, a career he's built over decades, savings, maybe a home, maybe children, a reputation, a nervous system that's already been through a few wars. And all of that is on the line every time he lets someone close. In his 20s, he was gambling. He'd risk his sleep, his focus, his money, his heart for the possibility of a story, a high, a body next to him at night. The downside felt abstract. There was time to recover. Heartbreak was part of the mythology. But now he's seen the invoice. He knows what it costs to attach himself to the wrong person. The legal fees, the split homes, the drained accounts, the months of anxiety, the way stress quietly breaks the body down. He's watched friends rebuild after messy splits. He's watched good men lose access to their kids. He's seen what manipulation, addiction, or untreated trauma can do when it moves into your living room. And he knows he's not 23 anymore. So his brain does something different now. It doesn't just ask, "Do I want her?" It asks, "What is the downside if I'm wrong?" Financially, emotionally, socially, spiritually. That's not fear, that's risk assessment. Gambling is chasing every maybe, hoping the odds somehow favor you. Investing is slow, deliberate. You read the pattern. You watch consistency. You notice how someone treats their own life before you invite them into yours. So when a man over 40 doesn't rush in, it's not because he can't feel. It's because he's finally factoring in everything he has to lose, not just what he might gain. And that changes the whole tempo of how and if he pursues anyone at all. Which brings us to what this shift really says about who he has become. Section 6. What it really means when he stops chasing. From the outside, it's easy to misread a man who no longer chases. People say he's checked out, afraid of commitment, bitter, or only focused on himself now. Sometimes even he buys that story for a while. It can feel strange to look at a version of yourself that no longer moves the way you used to. But when you put all the pieces together, a different picture appears. He isn't chasing because he's lazy. He's exhausted by repetition, by playing the same emotional casino over and over and expecting a different life. He isn't chasing because he hates women. He's learned that peace of mind is not negotiable, and that some dynamics will always cost him his peace, no matter how attractive they look on the surface. He isn't chasing because he's lost his edge. He's shifted from conquest to compatibility, from proving himself to building something that can actually survive reality. He isn't chasing because he gave up on love. He built a life that stands on its own legs, and he refuses to trade that stability for chaos disguised as connection. And he isn't chasing because he's cold. He's simply stopped gambling with everything he's already survived and created. When a man over 40 stops running after everything that moves, it often means he finally knows his value and the price of forgetting it. If this gave you language for something you've been feeling but couldn't explain, you can support the work by hitting like so it reaches more men who need to hear it. And if you want more calm, deep dives into the psychology behind who you want, who hurts you, and who you can't stop thinking about, you can subscribe to PsycheLure. We've just looked at why the chase dies. In another video, we'll explore something just as important: the green flags a man in this stage quietly watches for, and what it means when you become the one he doesn't have to chase, because you're already walking beside him.